Quick question for you. Who are you getting your mortgage advice from? I know that sounds like an interesting question, but unfortunately, there's a lot of bad information out there. And in this video, I want to talk a little bit about the good from the bad, who's an expert, who's not an expert, and more importantly, how to determine if you're getting good advice about your VA home loan, because it does make a difference. Google and ChatGPT frequently wrong on VA mortgage advice, and here's why. Oftentimes, they pull results from people who do the best SEO, which are not necessarily loan officers. They're just people that are good at SEO. SEO is a completely different skill from lending. I'm pretty good at both, but I'm the exception for sure. So how do you figure out if your info is accurate? Well, here are some things to think about. Are they citing sources like the VA handbook? If you ever watch my videos about any sort of guideline, you'll notice that I will cite sources. I'll say, you know what, this came with the VA handbook. Here's the page it was on. Here's the reason. All those types of things. Or oftentimes, it might have been a rule a few years ago. The rule changed. They never updated it, or they just didn't read the updated policy from the VA. That happens too. Here's a huge one. Are they licensed or are they a social media influencer? If you look at the top left corner of this video, you'll notice that there's an NMLS number on all my videos. And so that's the first thing to ask is there an MLS number listed? Loan officers are required by federal law to have an NMLS number on all their social media stuff. Now, that being said, a lot of us don't do it. We're out of compliance. That's a whole different problem. Or supposed to. So I want you to really think about when you're watching a video from someone, is this person actually licensed? Are they just talking? What's going on? And loan officers actually have a website called the NMLS Consumer Access. It's required by federal law to be on there. And so if you want to do a little research, which I believe you should, on whoever you're listening to, find out how long they've been licensed, what they've been doing before they became a loan officer. Did they just start last week, last month, last year? What are they doing? There are also certifications we can do. So in the VA space, there's multiple certifications. I do have the vetted VA certification that I'm very, very proud of. I was also mentored by a guy that ran a different certification company a few years ago. And most of the people that have certifications will brag about them and put them on their website. So you can definitely look and see if they have completed any of these kind of programs. And definitely, I think you should take that seriously if you're watching someone's channel, trying to figure out if that's a good person to listen to, because, certification matters. Now, here are some of the most commonly seen errors online you'll find on Google or any other search result or whatever you'll look at. There's a very partial list, but some things to think about. Loan limits, very, very common. I will see people claiming there are loan limits. The VA home loan actually does not have loan limits. Those are lender overlays. In other words, a lender rule over and above what the VA requires. Now, lenders will have their limits for sure. So that doesn't mean you can get approved for $20 million and you make $3,000 a month. That's not what that means. You do have to qualify for credit and income. But if you meet those requirements, the VA actually does not have loan limits. So the reason I say this is, here's just one simple story that happened yesterday. I was on the VA forum. I'm a moderator for that group. And there was a guy trying to buy a fourplex in there. And he said, I heard there's a $3 million limit on buying fourplexes. I was like, okay, where did you get this information from? Because that's not a thing. And he said, I heard about it on YouTube. And he gave me the guy's channel. I went and looked up the guy's channel. And the guy's just a social media guy. He's not a loan officer. He's just a social media influencer who just wants to talk about stuff. And so, again, the guy's giving bad info. I'm sure it wasn't deliberate. It's just the guy's not in the business. He doesn't do this every single day. Most likely he'd applied, and whatever company he applied for told him it was a $3 million limit. Well, that was a company policy. That was not a VA requirement, which are different. It's called a lender overlay is what it's called. That's with credit scoring. That's huge. So, again, we talk a lot about lender overlays. A lender overlay, again, is a rule over and above what the VA requires. And so there's a lot, I'll say a lot 3 times to emphasize it. There's a lot of bad information about minimum credit scores. But it's because certain lenders have their own rules about credit score. Now, this does not mean that everybody gets approved. It does not mean guaranteed approval. But what it does mean is the VA home loan looks at credit history and payment history a lot more than the actual credit score. Now, certain lenders say, you know what, we will not lend under a certain score, and that's a lender overlay. That's not a VA rule. So if you see something that says the VA will not lend under this credit score, just know that that information is bad. So I hope this helps you discern the good from the bad with any sort of person you're listening to online. As always, if you have any questions about VA home loans or anything in particular, feel free to give me a call. My number is 937-572-3713 or scarpero.com. Talk to you soon. Bye.